nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening. Welcome to the SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Joining me tonight is Rafa. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How are you, Harry?
Doing all right here. I tend to a change in the smell. I'm smelling some district play and some TAPS playoffs coming up real soon, right?
Yeah.
So,
pretty soon.
We got some things to kind of discuss as far as like standings when it comes to that here. And we were going to do the interview with Geneva, School of Boerne girls, but unfortunately there's family issue with kids and stuff like that. So we're actually going to try to see if we can just record that off time and then either air it separately or maybe in the next episode for that here, because I do know 7:30 on a Wednesday night or Thursday night can be challenging, especially with family and other stuff that's going on here. But Rafa, it's that time for Rafa's initial thoughts of the week. I know you were on the 50-50 podcast this weekend and gave your pound for pound on the state rankings. Anything you want to highlight on the 50-50 podcast, which thanks to this beautiful scarf is right here. And Coach Cano does have I believe, a second one that he's trying to build up as well.
It was pretty chaotic with, making the new list because there were some teams that, we predicted thought they're going to do well. And, some teams played each other, kind of pounded on each other. And like I said, there was a lot of changes but that's the uncertainty right now when it comes to, to these polls and stuff. Cause that's why I kind of wait a bit. I want to, it's okay to do a preseason, but I like to let everything marinate a bit, see who's really a contender, who's a pretender, and it's kind of the same thing here with these rankings currently are pound for pound for San Antonio. But there were some interesting, even some top teams dropped, and we had a one state champion pretty much dropped out of the top 15, and because they've had some tough losses, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's what's going to count is who's the one that's holding the trophy in April. That's what's the ranking that counts the most. Here, I think you're on mute, Harry.
Oh. Yeah. So as I was saying here, I know we focus on San Antonio area, but when a powerhouse like Salina loses, I think it was the girls team that lost, right? That's actually a good thing for Texas, soccer. Yeah. And, we've seen some state champions that were ranked and some favorites that were ranked. And we've got some teams like John Jay that are coming out of the blue, solid program, but, they're having a better year than normal, I guess you could say. So, that's what high school sports are about.
Yeah, you had some teams like I don't know the state side. I know we're talking a little bit about the state, like Fort Worth, Castleberry. Those boys came out of nowhere, and they actually knocked off Diamond Hill Jarvis, who's been in like previous rankings in the past couple of years. I know Salina. I mentioned Salina. Kind of. I know they drew. They lost some PKs, but like I said, they didn't really actually lose in regulation. But I'm sure they'll bounce back. But that Panther Creek team's kind of up and coming because they're all from the Frisco area, and you know how Frisco soccer is up there. They I know Reedy and Wakeland and Lone Star get the recognition, but yeah, you got one there that's Yeah, and also and then you also have like on the boys side, you have that Centennial, Frisco Centennial. They're making some noise, and it's interesting. Like I said, you always have that one team that I don't know. Last year was like Irvin, and this year, like I said, Centennial, and but it's interesting. We'll see how further once we get into halfway point of district play, who's really you're kind of starting their stuff, in the standings.
So let's get into the standings here. So good segue there for that here. And if anything stands out to you, let me know, and then we can go. We'll start with the girls here. TAPS Region 1, Division 2, St. Agnes 8-3-1, 6-0. St. Prius 5-1, and District Sa Antonian 14-5-1, 4-2, and Incarnate Word 2-4, trying to hold off Incarnate Word from Houston 2-5, and even Tomball, Concordia Lutheran Tomball at 2-6. So I think the top three are pretty set. I know Antonian went over to Houston and unfortunately got another L for that here, but I think they'll be in a solid seed position with the top half of District 2. To me, I guess the interesting question will be Incarnate Word, if they can hang on to 4, or do they drop down below the 2 Houston area schools? Two Houston area schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Antonia, like I said, they're still in striking distance as far as getting that second seed, and I think they really want to get that so they can actually host, one of the playoffs, and not be on the road. And that's kind of been some of the TAPS teams' kryptonite, going on the road, and then getting eliminated. So yeah, Incarnate Word kind of holding on to the thread there against the other Incarnate Word, and but if they can get some key wins here in this final stretch, kind of solidify that 4th spot, that'll be good for them. Same thing with Antonian. I don't know if they can catch up to St. Agnes. They're probably going to need some help, but trying to catch the same pies, they're win striking distance, and see, like I said, hopefully they'll get that second spot.
Yeah, so they lost 2-0 at at home against St. Agnes. They do play St. Prius on February 10th at 1 p.m. And then the following week they travel back to Houston, or they travel to Houston to play St. Agnes there. So they have the opportunity, especially to get into that second slot where that matchup on February 10th against Houston Prius, could determine that if they lose that at home, obviously that would seal their fate into there. But if they win that, they do have a pretty good chance of claiming that second slot, as you mentioned, for that here. Moving to Region 2, Division 4, TMI 6-1, San Antonio Christian 5-0 for it here. St. Anthony 2-3, St. Mary's 1-3, and then Laredo St. Augustine 0-2, and no record for Victoria St. Joseph as of yet. This one's really going to come down to TMI and San Antonio Christians for the top slot, and then it'll be interesting to see who gets that third slot between St. Anthony's and St. Mary's.
Yeah, it's kind of like the mirror of kind of last year. It came down to those two teams. Like I said, I'm sure they have a game pending against each other, and I know TMI needs to hand San True Christian a loss to kind of maintain, stay, with them. That way maybe they end up splitting the district title, but still trying to get that number 1 seed. So, that should be an interesting game when they play against each other. And then St. Anthony and St. Mary's, I don't think they'll have any worries about Victoria or Laredo St. Augustine. But like I said, it will come down to the seedings and who plays a number 1 seed or plays a 2 seed. So that's what's going to matter in that first round of the playoffs.
Moving to Region 3, Division 4. What can you say? Geneva School of Boerne 14-0-1, 6-0. Crazy to think that Shirts JP2 only loss is to Geneva 19-1-2, 3-1 in the district there. They're going to start. Geneva, they're finished, so they can't do any worse. So you figure for Shirts JP2. That most likely they'll finish in that second slot, depending on, and then I guess it'll depend on as far as the rankings, depending on how that district rounds go. Correct?
Yeah. So they'll probably, like I said, whoever finishes on top gets the top seed, and then they'll play the depending what type of the tournament. Then if it's just the top 4 teams that play in that tournament, or they do the 7, it's gonna, and one of them gets the bye and so forth. And I have a feeling that they probably have like the 2 versus the 5 and the 3 and the 4, and then the 1 will play the winner of the 6 and 7. So, and then go on to the, like I said, to the semifinals and the finals in that district tournament. But like I said, Genoa's got it locked up. They're on a hot streak, so they can keep the momentum. I'm sure they're kind of okay. Not set. Still need to finish the job as far as winning the district, and I'm sure Shirts would love to get another rematch with them and try to steal that in and steal it from them and get that higher seed going into the playoffs. But I think these are going to probably be your 2 contenders, going into the state tournament.
Playoffs. So moving over to the boys, Central Catholic 12-2, 5-0 in district. Houston St. Prius 4-1. The Villages 3-2. St. Thomas 2-3. Antonian, what happened, man? Early on, you looked good. I was trying to get you into the initial Power 15, and Rafa had an instinct, and unfortunately, kind of a down year for Antonian. I hate to say it. At 1-4, that's typically not where they're at in the standings. But Central Catholic, they're reclaiming the top. Well, I guess they never left it, but they're showing that the powerhouse that they are.
Yeah, then what you can say about them? Coach Rose got them going, and getting that win against St. Pius and the rest of the teams. They're on a mission. Like I said, they were disappointed last year on the state final that they should have won, and they fell short. And I'm sure they're now, like I said, really focused on finishing the fight for them. And like I said, it's still got some couple games pending, and Can Antonian, they're a game behind St. Thomas. If they can kind of get a little winning streak, try to maybe move up in the standings. They are 2 games behind the Village.
Play Central Catholic.
Well, they're gonna have to pull. They're gonna have to pull off a lot of things there on that one. But yeah, you never know. Anything can happen. Yeah, but anything can happen. You can't take them lightly, and sometimes you can catch a team on a bad day and they get the ball. I've seen some of the games the ball hits the post a few times, and then the other team scores and gets a 1-0 win. It's that's a possibility. So Antonio's, I'm sure they're motivated. They know what they have to do, and if they can pull it off, it could be something good for them to get some momentum going into the later stages of their district play.
I will say, looking at the schedule for Antonian, as I mentioned, they play at Central Catholic on the 2nd, which is Saturday or Friday night at Central Catholic, 7 p.m. kickoff. The following weekend, they get the Village and St. Prius at home before traveling to Concordia and playing St. Thomas. So, do they have the ability to be able to do that? But you look at their schedule; it's a tough schedule where playing at the Village, playing at St. Thomas, and playing Village at home, St. Prius at home, but at St. Thomas is tough, as well as playing on the road against Central Catholic. So, but for Central Catholic, they're cruising, and like I said here, barring any let down, they should be able to clinch the number 1 seed for the playoffs here for Division 2 for that here. But they do have St. Prius on February 9th at 7 o'clock, which is a big match, and then they follow that up against the Village at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So tough, that's a tough 1-2 push, but that assuming that they get by Antonian and nothing's guaranteed, that would set up probably first place on February 9th there at Bob Benson 66 Stadium for that here. Moving on to Region 2, Division 4. Region 2, Division 4. Yeah, Brownsville 8-0, 6-0, TMI 6-1 in district. San Antonio Christians 5-2, St. Mary's 2-2, Laredo St. Augustine 1-5, St. Anthony Yellowjacks 0-7. I'm wondering if some scores haven't been updated by St. Mary's for that have the big difference in the standings, but. This one here, really the top three kind of already set. You would expect, and depending on what St. Mary's is doing against Laredo and St. Anthony's, correct?
Yeah, pretty much Brownsville St. Joseph's been running away with this, and more likely, I think they're going to end up winning the district title. As far as the second seed, it may come, like I said, come down to TMI and San Antonio Christian. I'm sure that they're going to fight for that, and can St. Mary's hold off Laredo St. Augustine? I know that, like I said, those games are going to come down to the wire, see who ends up getting that fourth spot.
And then moving to Region 3, Division 4, Search JP2 Guardians 5-0, New Braunfels Christian 4-1, Geneva School of Boerne. Despite their non-conference struggles, have picked it up in district at 4-1. JP2 out of Corpus 3-2. Incarnate out of Corpus Christi 2-3. Kerrville 1-2, and the Atonement Academy and Holy Cross of San Antonio Knights struggling a little bit here, but JP2, New Braunfels Christians, Boerne. It'll be a dogfight to who gets that top slot.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it may come down to maybe, like I said, those three teams, and I think Church JP2's got kind of the foot in a little bit, but like I said, I think they do also do that district tournament too. So the seeding is going to be really important for them, because for guys I know one seed it's going to probably more likely to play Holy Cross, and probably won't have any problems getting by into the next round. Same thing with the second seed as well.
So on Saturday, if you're not doing anything, Geneva versus JP2 for the boys at 12 o'clock at Wildcat Field, which I believe is the home field for New Braunfels Christian for that here. So that'll be a interesting match when it comes to that on January 30th. So yesterday, Boerne got the win against New Braunfels Christian to do that. What's their? Let me just look who they have. So yeah, New Braunfels Christian, Geneva only has Our Lady of the Hills left on the schedule there, so you figure that they most likely take care of business for that. And then JP2, San Marcos, New Braunfels, and then JP2 out of Corpus. So it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out, based on the schedule here. But big win for Geneva over New Braunfels Christian last night.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. Any final thoughts on that?
Like I said, everything's coming down to the wire as far as the playoff seedings, district titles, and trying to position themselves to get into possibly hosting a playoff game. And it's like I said, we got our favorite. Some of the favorites pretty much. Some of them already got it locked in, but also there's some key games coming up here in that final stretch.
So moving on to UIL, we'll start with 4A regions, Region 4, District 26, 27, 28. Starting out with the boys, Boerne Greyhounds has not started district, but 7-0 so far. Davenport 6-4, Fredericksburg 4-1-4, Bandera 4-4-2, Wimberley 3-6-1. I think the shock is Canyon Lake at 0-8-1 so far. On the season here. I know we're probably getting close to starting district for this. I think it's in February, for this one here. But can anybody challenge Boerne, or you think it's them, and then really the races for that fourth slot? Because I do think Davenport and probably Fredericksburg are probably pretty safe in that 2 and 3 slot, right?
Yeah, Davenport, can they challenge Boerne? But Boerne's been, ever since the last season, that disappointment, they seem they're on the mission. Like I said, they got some key wins on, they I think they won last night versus New Braunfels, so they're set and ready to go. And can Davenport, maybe get a win at when they play them at Davenport, can they get a win? There are still some points, but I think you mentioned those first three are probably going to be your locks for the playoffs, and then most surprised Canyon Lake, kind of that poor start, and I expect a little bit more from them. And Bandera like I said, it's going to be come down to Bandera and Wimberley. Whoever wins that, and maybe they're able to knock off some of the topper teams as far as wins or draws could come into play.
The good news for Canyon Lake, if you're looking at district, it's 0-0, and from my understanding, that's what they look at for the top four. So, for them, despite kind of having the struggles, they can kind of hit the reset button and hopefully be able to, turn that ship around and kind of build some confidence. And it just takes one win, and then that kind of changes the confidence, in the outlook of the entire team. Moving on to the girls on 26. Boerne, 10-0-1, the one draw. Bandera, 10-7, but still 10 wins, which always good to get double digits. Canyon Lake, the Lady Hawks, 9-1. Davenport, 7-2. Wimberley, 6-3-1. Fredericksburg, 5-1. District hasn't kicked off yet. I know Bandera, based on the wins, because that's how they go by it, is kind of point, that point schedule. So, with them having 10 wins, they have it here. But you would have to figure out, even though out of conference schedule or out of district schedule, they've had pretty good success with the number of matches that they have. But probably when it comes to being in the top four, there's still big question marks whether they're going to be there. Correct?
Yeah, like I said, they played recently. Actually, on Tuesday night, Bandera played Clemens, and Clemens took care of business. They beat them 6-0, and Bandera does have a win over Hondo. So they've been beating teams from some of the other districts, like they beat Memorial, they beat Fox Tech, Poteet. So they're actually been playing some of the opposite, teams. I think on 20, for 4A. And they've had, like I said, kind of looking at the schedule, they've got some key wins, but there's some losses, some tough losses too. And I think what's going to come down to for them, it's can they knock off a team like Canyon Lake or Davenport, even Wimberley. I think Wimberley and Davenport and even Canyon Lakes and Boerne have played pretty much to stiffer competition than what Bandera's kind of. I know some of the losses, some of the stiffer competition Bandera's played, haven't been on the winning side. So I think this comes down to, like I said, Boerne and Davenport, but keep an eye on Canyon Lake. That 9-1 start, that's a little, I think, surprised some people. I expected Wimberley maybe to do a little bit better, I think, but they may, like I said, they may have a younger team, but I think they're still ahead. So it's going to come down more like I said, it's going to probably be those four teams in the playoffs.
Moving to District 27, Kennedy Rockets 6-4-1, 1-0 in district. Memorial 0-1. Only district play that I could find that's reported. Yoakum Bulldogs, SA Young Leadership, Lavernia Gonzalez, Fox Tech, even San Antonio Memorial Minutemen, Minutewomen, pardon me, since this is the girls. This one's wide open, right? I know Lavernia was kind of the pick, and we kind of expect them to kind of rise. Kennedy obviously is off to the good start, but this one at least non-conference wise, and they're just now getting into district. So, any thoughts on this one here?
I still think it's Lavernia because I think I know the record doesn't speak for what they, as far as what it is, and they actually played a lot tougher non-district schedule than some of the other teams within their in their district. And I'm kind of looking at the they had a 1-0 loss to Clemens. That's a good result for them, playing 2 classifications up. But then they had a bad loss against Steele and Judson. Close one against Brownwood, which Brownwood in Region 1, actually they're one of the better teams with the girls soccer. They had a good Burnett team. So it's a mix. They had a little shootout with Wimberley. That it was an 8-4 shootout. So and like I said, they got some good. Yeah. Someone made the 2-point conversion there. So so like I said, they had a loss to Davenport too. But like I said, they're playing a little super competition. I know the record doesn't reflect on them, but I still think they're the team to beat. But I think Kennedy. I think. Yoakum's probably going to contend young women's leadership, but also keep an eye on Gonzalez. I think they could surprise a couple teams.
Moving to the boys, Lavernia 10-3-1, Fox Tech, Memorial, Kennedy, Gonzalez, and Yoakum for that here. I think Lavernia is the clear class of this one here, and it'll be interesting to see if they are in the Power 15 or where they're at for that here. But your thoughts on 27 boys? It kind of seems like both the boys and the girls, non-conference wise, they take some lumps. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how district kind of filters out, as you mentioned, who are the contenders and who are the pretenders when it comes to district play.
Yeah, last night there was a game. Actually, Lavernia played Fox Tech, so they did already start district, and Lavernia got a 6-2 win. So, like I said, Lavernia's hasn't shot. The boys haven't shot away to as far as playing some of the stiffer teams, and I don't remember talking to them last year. That was their goal, is to play some of the tougher teams to get them prepared especially for the playoffs. And especially last year how Memorial kind of surprised everybody. So I think they've kind of taken that. Next step is, hey, we got to be better prepared. I still think it's going to be those 4 teams. Gonzalez has an outside shot. I think they may challenge, the Kennedy, for that final playoff spot. But I think it's going to be Lavernia and Memorial, kind of your 2 top teams there, and then Fox Tech, Kennedy, and Gonzalez are going to fight out for those final 2 spots for the playoffs.
District 28, Pleasanton, Floresville, Uvalde all got opening wins. Poteet's 0-2, Somerset's 0-1. Hondo, according in Pearsall, still haven't played a district play this was early this morning when I got the records here, or the scores weren't reported, so they may have been updated since then. But Pleasanton, Floresville, Uvalde off to solid starts. I know Floresville is the one that I think was everybody's favorite, or between them and Pleasanton. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is kind of why it's not a very strong district compared to maybe like 27 or 26. And you can see the kind of the non-district standings on there for some of the records of these teams, but more likely, like I said, like Floresville is probably going to be the favorite to win it. I think those 4 teams there are going to be your playoffs, pretty much locked in. Somerset's been struggling this year, which is a little surprise there. Like I said, Pearsall and Poteet, they're still kind of newbies as far as when it comes to
these are
soccer.
young programs, right? Hondo's year 3. Pearsall is year 2. Poteet's kind of very similar.
I think year 4. So it's going to take them a while. And like I said, they haven't. I don't think those schools haven't established a soccer culture just yet. And if they can do that, who's to say? Next year, they can kind of start turning things around, and especially what's going to happen tomorrow. We'll see. Where they land, and maybe that'll help them out in the future.
Moving to 28 girls, Floresville, Pleasanton, Uvalde, all got victories. Hondo, Somerset, and Poteet through there, and Pearsall, had a bye for the opening round of district play. I think the three teams that won probably the favorites for that here. And then for that fourth slot is going to come down between probably Hondo and Somerset. I think it is kind of going to determine who gets that fourth slot. For District 28.
Yeah, it's going to be a shootout for between Uvalde, Pleasanton, and Floresville. I know Uvalde came out on top last season, and I still think they're the favorites. But Pleasanton and Floresville really kind of, like I said, really going to kind of challenge them. And what's going to be interesting here is who can actually win at which one can win at the other team's place. If they can steal some points or a win away, that's going to really kind of determine who ends up winning the district title. And then the final spot, I think more than likely it's going to be Hondo. I think Hondo should have no issues knocking off like a Pearsall and Somerset and Poteet.
But it just takes one upset, and that changes the dynamics of the race. Moving to 5A. District 26, a real fun district here. Piper Warriors 7-2-1, 3-0. Smithson Valley 3-0. Canyon Cougarettes 3-0. Burning Champion 2-1, and Kerrville Tivy 1-2. Veterans Memorial, Seguin, and Wagner. It's just a tough district for them to compete in. Just being fair, but really, it's going to come down to that fourth slot between Bernie Champion and Kerrville at this. To see who can get it through. I think when we did the rankings, I think you favored Bernie Champion for that here. I favored Kerrville, just to kind of be there. But three powerhouses and then two good teams.
Yeah, I think this is going to come down to the top three. I believe. I don't. The one thing is, can Kerrville, get some key wins and maybe steal that fourth spot from Bernie Champion? But Canyon, Simpson Valley, and Piper, they're going to fight it out. Kind of almost did it like last year. But I think Piper, they're like I said, they return a lot of players back. They have more experience. I'm sure they learned from those key losses they had toward down the stretch. And I know Smithson Valley. I know they lost some key players too, but they're still going strong. They had a good, strong non-district schedule. And then what do you say about Canyon? Canyon's still doing what it did last year. So it's going to be this like I said, this is one of the toughest districts, like I said, for girls, for Region 4 and 5A, and it's going to be a fun one to see which one ends up pulling on top and get the district title.
We'll have kind of I don't want to say a clear advantage for that fourth or fifth slot, because Burning Champion and Kerrville Tivy play this weekend, February 2nd at 7:15 at Kerrville Tivy. So that'll be one to kind of watch out for, to kind of get an indication. You figure if Burning Champion gets a win, that would put Kerrville Tivy 2 games down. It's still early, but that's a lot of games to make up against a quality program. For that,
if Kerrville can, if Kerrville can get this win, it really could change a lot of things. And then when they go on the second go around, when they play at Bernie, a tie or a win pretty much could seal that fourth spot for them. But Bernie, they still have the players have the players also to beat some of the top three, the ones on the top three that are ahead of them too. So can't take anything for granted in this district. You got 5 teams that can flat out play, and they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna give it all they got, and it's like I said, this is probably one of the funnest districts here to watch and see how this ends.
But I do think for Kerrville Tivy, I hate saying it's a must win, but to me it's a must win, because to fall 2 games down without having paid Piper or Smithson Valley as of yet, to me that would be a huge hole to have to kind of come out of. Moving on to the boys, Piper 9-3, 3-0 in district. Kerrville Tivy, speaking of them, off to a great start, 2-0-1 in district. Smithson Valley looking a lot better in district, 2-0-1. Canyon Cougars 2-1, Burning Champion 1-1. Veterans Memorial with the point on the board, 0-2-1, and Wagner and Seguin hanging out. So I guess to me, Bernie Champion being kind of on the outside right now, surprising, not surprising.
Well, that was their first loss of the season, so that really was kind of a little surprise there, But Canyon, after losing their top keeper with Nico Sellers last year, you thought maybe they may dip a little bit, but no, they've kept it up, and like I said, they're still a dangerous team, and I think they can still beat some of the teams up, ahead of them too. I think the class out of this is going to be is Piper. Like I said, I did see them play recently. They're at the Alamo Heights tournament, and they look great. They beat a really good Cedar Park team, and that Cedar Park team was very physical. So, and they were able to get through and get a good quality win. So, like I said, it's going to be Kerrville's. Like I said, they're surprising some people. They got off to a good start, and can they maintain that? And I'm sure Piper and Smithson Valley can't take them lightly because, like I said, they can put points away, on the road or even a win on home. So it's more like I said, it's going to come down to these 5 teams.
Well, we talk about it. We already talked about Kerrville Tivy playing Bernie, so we know that they play at Bernie Champion on Friday. Tuesday, Bernie Champion travels to Piper, and then Friday they travel. Smithson Valley travels to Bernie Champion. So next 3 matches, we'll find out where Bernie Champion is. I'm assuming when you come out of that, you're hoping to come out with at least 2-1.
Yeah,
2 wins, 1 loss. Or 2-0-1.
Yeah, I think 2 losses, you really put yourself in the bind.
And to be fair, that's a tough 3-game stretch for anybody. But
yeah,
losing to, I think you said Canyon last night. New Braunfels Canyon on the 30th 2-1. At home too. That was a home loss for Bernie Champion. So that does kind of put them, where they got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
27 Alamo Heights 5-0, MacArthur Brahmas 5-0. Jeff 3-3, Edison 3-2, Lanier 2-2, Brackenridge 2-2, Sam Houston 1-3, Burbank and Highlands 0-4. I think Heights and MacArthur probably clear 1 and 2 at this point, and then the final 2 slots, you've got 5 teams that's kind of racing for it at this point with Jefferson, Edison, Lanier, Brackenridge, and if you wanted to throw Sam Houston into it because they're technically only game and a half out. So you got 4 solid at least that are knocking on the door.
Yeah, I think so. Alamo Heights should have no problem winning this for sure. I know. Last year they had a couple key, some surprising losses, but I think they should take care of business. And MacArthur is surprising. They're doing well. It's going to be interesting when they play Alamo Heights. Can they steal some points at Alamo Heights, or if they're playing them at home, can it get a win? It's going to be real beneficial for them. And then the 2 other spots between Jeff, Edison, Lanier, and even Brack, I think, like I said, it's going to be a dogfight for those. I still give Jeff and Edison the edge, but keep an eye on Lanier because they got some good players. They got a good, some good forwards, and they may be able to surprise and make some prizes coming up.
February 9th, so next Friday is the first MacArthur Alamo Heights at back east. Eastfield there on February 9th at 7:30. So, MacArthur gets Lanier and Burbank this week, which, for you mentioned, watch out for Lanier. So that might be kind of a sneaky game for MacArthur if they're looking ahead to next week to Alamo Heights for that here. Moving on to the 26 girls. Alamo Heights 4-0, MacArthur 4-0, Coach Cano. And Jefferson 3-2, Edison 2-2, Highlands 2-2, Burbank 1-2, Sam Houston 1-3, Breckenridge and Lanier 0-3. Coach Connell, friend of the show, got his Lady Brahmas looking good. Jefferson hanging in there. Your thoughts on this? Obviously, Alamo Heights is the favorite until proven otherwise.
Yeah, like I said, Alamo Heights has been pretty much the girls have been on fire, but it's gonna be interesting next week when they play MacArthur. Can MacArthur throw that little monkey wrench? Alamo Heights can't take them lightly, and like I said, they can't. Like I said, especially you never know what can happen, and like I said, if you come up with a good game plan, things can change in the game. And I think I spoke to a little bit, texting with Coach Connell yesterday, actually last night, and they executed a really good plan against Jeff, and they had a really good win against them. Last year I know Jefferson had their number last year, and this year they kind of turned. So they're able to get a win here. So they're trying to stay neck and neck there with Alamo Heights. And then like I said, the last two playoff spots, I think it's going to probably what you see there. More like it's going to probably be Jefferson and Edison. We'll see if Highlands can make maybe steal wins. Those away games, steal some points from those teams that are ahead of them.
I'll just say I disagree with the Power 15 when it comes to MacArthur. I'm just going to put that out there right now. 5A Region 4 District 28, Medina Valley 1-0, McCollum 1-0, Southwest 1-0, Southside 1-0, Harlandale, Southwest Legacy, South Sandon, CC win 0-1 to start out the seasons here. When you look at it here, Medina Valley, and this is going to show for the boys and well, starting to show that they have a pretty successful program going on. McCollum, and then Southwest, and then South Side here. Any surprises for you? I know it's just 1 week in district opening round, but any surprises of this district at this time?
I'm a little surprised that that Harlandale lost to Southside, but and that was at Southside, so we'll see if they can get the win back at home. I think that last play I saw is probably could end up between those two. And I know there's been the Southwest Invitational for the girls' side on this one, but they need to keep an eye, kind of one eye open with Medina Valley here. I think I can't wait for when they play. It's going to be interesting there how the result for that game. It can't. Is this the year Medina Valley finally knocks them off and take control of this district, and this, like I said, this could be their chance right this season before they move up to 6A next year. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, I don't know you have the date for that game, but that's probably going to be one of the. It's going to be a marquee game coming up. McCollum, like I said, I actually picked them to make the playoffs. Good quality win. I think they'll be they'll get that third or fourth spot. But kudos to Southside, able to get that 1-0 win over Harlandale, and they got a leg up and see if they can continue on.
Which match were you looking for? Medina Valley and who?
Medina and Southwest.
I got it right here. Actually, this Friday. Medina Valley is 7:15. February 2nd, 7:15. Medina Valley travels to Southwest. And then Medina Valley travels to Harlandale on the 6th for that here. So I know you mentioned you're a little surprised that Harlandale got upset, but Medina Valley and Southwest 7:15 kickoff for that here to, I guess, kind of get a slight edge in the standings this early.
Yeah, like I said, we'll see how. Like I said, is this the game that they, like I said, the Medina Valley girls, make a statement? Can they prove to Southwest that, hey, this is going to be our year? Can we, can they do, finally kind of knock them off here and take control of, of that, of the district play and so forth. So, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a fun one. This Friday, like I said, they're at Southwest. We'll see how that goes, and even if they get like a tie, that'll be a good result because they're stealing points away, away at home. So
and I will say, team to watch out for next week, Tuesday, The 6th, McCollum plays at Southwest, and then the 9th they play at Medina Valley. So that'll be a kind of a real test for the Cowgirls of McCollum to see where they're actually at. Moving to 28 boys, Medina Valley, Harlandale, Southwest Legacy all got wins. Southside win, McCollum and South San, took losses here. I know we did this last year with Harlandale. They had a great record, came to district, faced Southwest, and unfortunately faltered down the stretch. I guess the question has to be kind of asked about Medina Valley as well, kind of along those lines here. Are they for real or not? I guess that'll be the question that we're going to find out here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, I actually got to see Medina Valley play last night. Like I said, I live streamed the Medina Valley versus South San game. If you saw, I think Coach Payne posted that first goal, that golazo. I mean, that's probably your goal of the month. And so if Lethal's watching, that's your goal of the month right there. So, that it was just a beautiful shot. Caught the goalkeeper off his line, and he didn't even move. And I was surprised. I did my little Andres Cantor there when they scored the goal, and the parents were like, "What the heck's going on here?" I was impressed by Medina Valley. I know South San, like I said, they're a young team. Not as experienced as maybe Medina Valley, but I like what Medina Valley was doing as far as touching the ball, the passes. I saw a sequence of play where they touched the ball six passes in order to get a shot off, and they're very also physical. They got some speed, and they could, like I said, it's gonna could be a complicated game for Southwest. That's, like I say, that game's gonna be a fun game when they play against each other. And I think the first go around is gonna be at Medina Valley. Can Medina Valley get a win at home? Against Southwest at home, and so if you have a chance out there, go to Castroville. Like I said, make that little road trip, and because that's probably going to be your game of the night, for the area, and it's going to be can they take that next step and stop, kind of stop the dominance that Southwest has. But like I said, what do you say, Southwest? Southwest has been great. They had a good win over CC Win, and but this is going to be a fun game, and Harlandale, like you mentioned, last year they had that big nice record, and then all of a sudden they got a reality check, and I'm sure they kind of looked into that and said probably play some tougher opponents, and but I still see them getting into the playoffs, and I'm a little surprised Southwest Legacy got a one up, and I thought Southside would maybe get a first district win, but like I said, it's still early on, so we'll see. I think those are your 5 teams there that, as far as playoff contention, it's going to be those. But as far as the district title, I think it's going to come down to Southwest and Medina Valley.
Moving to 6A, 27 hasn't started district yet, and I still think they're a couple of weeks out, maybe a week or 2 out. Cibolo Steel, Converse Judson, or Cibolo Steel 6-1-1, Judson 6-5, East Central 7-7, San Marcos Rattlers 4-4-1, New Braunfels Unicorns 4-9-1, and something that I'm not used to seeing because the person that I set to, his son played goalkeeper for Church Clemens, and they were always kind of playoff bound. Right now, currently last place. Now it's out of conference, and I know Clemens has played a pretty decent out of conference record, but I won't lie to you, it's still odd to see them 6 out of 6 teams. So, but nice for the Steel Knights. Awesome to see the Judson Rockets up there. East Central, you think they got the staying power to stay in it?
We'll see. I still think it's Clemens the favorite. Don't let that 3-8 record fool you, because they played some of the powerhouses, especially from the Dallas area. Some of these state ranked teams that have on the RPIs, and they gave them some games. They were very competitive games. I know there's one that did kind of get a little bit out of hand, but don't sleep on them. I honestly think they're gonna, like I said, they'll win this district. And if I'm the team in 28, 6-8, don't take them lightly. Even though they have 8 losses. Cibolo Steel, good bounce back from last year. They kind of struggled, but here they're at 6-1-1. They did have a loss with my my former team, which I was a little surprised that they lost to them. But kudos to that to Del Rio there.
Rafa's not a
yeah, it's
Del
good to
Rio
see.
fan.
Kudos to Judson. Judson, like I said, I think we picked them. I think to get that 4th spot, I think it's going to come down to them and maybe East Central, and but also don't sleep on San Marcos too. So I think those 3 are going to be fighting out for that 4th spot.
Moving on to the ladies, Cibolo Steel once again 7-1-2, Clemens 10-2, Judson 9-6-1, New Braunfels 4-5-1, East Central 2-7-1, and San Marcos 1-8-3. Still a little bit of time for district play for these guys here, but thoughts on 6A 27 for the ladies.
I think honestly, this is going to come down as far as the district out of the 3 teams. It's going to be Steel, Clemens. I got to see Clemens play a few weeks ago against I think Harlan, and I was impressed. They got a really good forward up top, very physical, great touch on the ball. The girls really played really aggressive. So they've kind of a really good hot start for them. Still, like I said, also they kind of said last year they kind of turned some things around. Got a better record here before district play. Judson, like I said, good start. I still think they'll probably be your 4th seed, but keep an eye on the Braunfels. Even though that record, I know it's a losing record, but they've played some really tough teams, and like I said, they're still going to be, I think, in the mix, for that district title with Clemens and Steele.
All right, so here is the district. And I'm going to ask you this question. I'll go through the standings and I'll say, is it already over as far as the playoffs being top 4 being settled? Reagan 10-0, 4-0. Johnson 9-1, 4-0. Madison 8-1-1, 4-1. Lee 8-3-1, 4-1. Brandeis 5-5-1, 1-3-1. Churchill 1-3, Clark 1-4, Marshall 0-3-1, and then Roosevelt 0-4. But Reagan, Johnson, Madison, Lee. This is what, week 5 or week 6-ish, I guess, when it comes through for district play.
Mm-hmm.
Is the top 4 already set? Maybe not order, but could you see Brandeis or Churchill or Clark making a run to get past either Lee or Madison?
It can't. Clark and Churchill and Brandeis, can they? I think if they're going to get into contention, they won't have to steal points from the top 4. Get a win or get a tie. Kind of throw a little monkey wrench on them. If they can't do that, more likely that I think, like what you said, this probably may be what you're seeing here is going to be your playoff teams. Now, as far as the district title, like I said, I think Reagan recently. I think it's going to come down to the Reagan and Johnson, honestly. But Lee, keep an eye on Lee too, because Lee's a little dangerous team. I know they had a lead against Reagan, but they kind of faltered towards the end. But they still have a good. I've seen them play. They got some talent. Maybe they get it turned around on the second round of district play. Same thing with Madison too. I know they had a loss, but see if they can turn that around. So it's not, like I said, as far as the district is not over yet. Still got plenty of games, but I don't know, the 2 clear. Like I said, right now, currently the 2 clear favorites are going to be Reagan and Johnson.
Speaking of which, 5 p.m. February 2nd, Comalander Stadium. Johnson, Reagan. For that here, so and then so that starts out right there for you. Nice little tasty matchup. But I know you were talking about Medina Valley and Southwest.
And Southwest, yeah.
This would be another tasty. Games, yeah. This would be another tasty.
You got a tasty 5A1 and a 6A1.
Who does Lee play then? Did Lee and Madison also match up? No, Lee February 5th. No, February 5th. Well, says San Angelo Central and there, so I'm assuming that's off. February 5th, Lee and Madison at Comalander for that here, and then next Friday, Johnson versus Lee for that here.
So tough stretch there.
Yeah. So, but interesting matchup between 1 and 2 right now in districts, and we'll see how high they are in Rafa Power 15 coming up soon. On the boys' side, Reagan 4-0, Johnson 3-0-1, Brandeis 3-1-1, Lee Volunteers 3-2, Churchill 2-1-1, Madison 2-2-1, Clark 1-3, and Marshall and Roosevelt 0-4. And this is just district that we're going in because that's really what kind of matters right now, since we're heavy in district play here. And obviously, if the boys are facing off against each other, the girls are facing off against each other, the boys are probably also going to be facing off Reagan and Johnson most likely on Friday night. I'm assuming that's probably what, a 7:00 kickoff.
Yeah,
7:00 kickoff, Comalander Stadium, Johnson and Reagan. So if you want to see some high quality District 28 action, go out to Comalander. 5 for the ladies, 7 for the boys, and you'll be treated to some good soccer between Reagan and Johnson.
Yeah, that's gonna be a barn burner of a game. Reagan's really kind of surged. They struggled a little bit in the kind of right before district play. I know they had some kind of couple, that loss to Del Rio and a couple other, from the other non-district. But I think Coach Riaro's really kind of got them going. I know they lost some key players, but it's a good start for them. Can they maintain, the level of play they're at right now? But they got a big test. They got Johnson. Like I said, I got to see Johnson versus the Brandeis game. Johnson poured it on. They've really put a lot of pressure on you, and they got a really good striker up top. They can bury shots. He could have that game. He should have had a hat trick. Like I see, he hit a couple posts a couple times, and they have great goalkeeping too. Angelo Vaca, he's got. I think he got 3 straight clean sheets, and he was actually my game ball winner for the 50-50 podcast this past week. And so they've really turned it up. Like I said, if you look at the records, they're like, hey, well, they got 3 losses for these guys played some of the elite teams here in the state. So and that's for preparation for this district. Lee's struggle a little bit. They got, the losses against Reagan and Brandeis, but they're still going to be a dangerous team. I think they're young, but
they're young though, right? I think I read somewhere.
Yeah, they're young.
They only got like 3, maybe 4 seniors. They're a really
they're young,
team.
they if they can get everything kind of clicking a little bit, and that second round of district play, they could pull out some upsets. So it's not, like I said, don't count them out yet. I still think they'll make the playoffs. The one surprise has been Churchill. Churchill, like I said, last year, really, they've struggled the last few years. They finally kind of got it. They had a lead against Brandeis, a 3-1 lead, but they ended up losing 4-3, and that comes from not having the experience playing kind of the top games. And but hopefully they learn from this. And but the rest of the teams ahead of Churchill, they got to keep an eye on them. Can't take them lightly. Well, Madison, I know they're Madison boys. There were some people kind of had some high praises for them. I saw one of them had them high, in the preseason rankings, but they've kind of struggled there here in district play. So still a dangerous team. But like I said, I think those 4 teams could be your playoff spots. But keep an eye on Churchill. They if they can get a win over Lee, it can complicate a lot of things.
Here's for Churchill. So they play Clark this on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday at Comalander they play Reagan. They come back and play Marshall on February 9th. So you figure if they can go 2-1, or if they could get a draw against Reagan, that's going to set them up. But their next 3, day before Valentine's, February 13th versus Lee, against Madison on the 16th, and then they follow that up on the 20th against Johnson. So they got a 3-game cushion where they can try to pad some, get some wins and hopefully get a draw against Reagan before they hit that tough stretch of Madison, Lee, and Johnson between the 13th and 20th of February for Churchill. So it'll be kind of, for them, they can't sleep on Clark or Marshall for that
Yeah.
here. And then, if they could get some sort of result against Reagan, that sets them up pretty well, for mid to late February.
Yeah, especially that game, they had Brandeis Speed. I know Steve was there, who's texting me
Right.
because I was away there.
3-0 or
I was in
3-1,
Sydney.
something like that.
Yeah, he was telling me like they said that they have a really good forward. He's only a freshman, and then Steve's Steve said he's the real deal. If he can, in time, a little more time there, he's probably one of the players to keep a lookout, and maybe he's be able to kind of carry the team and can get, if he can get that, like I said, they can get a result, against Reagan, like a tie. It's going to help them out. As long as they can get steal points from the teams ahead of them, it's going to help them, towards the end, trying to get that into the playoffs.
So, and their last match is against Lee, so hopefully they can kind of have things wrapped up. But that could be kind of a real pivotal March 19th on who gets that fourth slot, if it's still Lee, Churchill, depending on how the results go for that here. So moving to 29 on the boys, Harlan 4-0-1, John Jay 4-1, Warren 3-2. Had kind of a rough week for Warren. Brennan 2-0-2, and then kind of gets into the mix of the others. Sotomayor 1-3-2. Taft defeated Stevens last night 1-2-1. Stevens 1-2-1. O'Connor kind of surprisingly at 1-3, still in district, and then Holmes 0-4. To me, the shock is kind of O'Connor, and I know it's still somewhat early, but 4 games in, only 1 district win. Harlan, and to me, I think the surprise of San Antonio soccer, both on the boys and the girls, and we'll get to it, is probably John Jay on both sides, probably outperforming preseason expectations for
both. Yeah, but also keep an eye on that Brennan team. That Brennan actually tied Harlan 1-1, and from what I've been hearing, they got some talent, and they for that result there shows that on the second go around when they play Harlan again, that could be for that district title, but also Jay's too, like you said, Jay's in the mix. They may complicate some things coming up, with Harlan, and then Warren. Because I get to see the Warren Harlan game. Harlan really kind of took it to him, especially in that second half. Even though it was a close first half, which Warren did play well until they gave up that one goal. They still got a good record there. I still think it's going to come down to maybe those 4 teams. I'm a little surprised with O'Connor. They're struggling, so I don't know. Is it injuries? Is it more? Did they lose some key players? Can they? Is there the losses they have? Is it? Can they recover from that and still challenge for that 4th spot? But right now, if they don't get any more results, they might be out of this. Even before the second round of the district play.
To be fair to O'Connor here, just to kind of be upfront, they lost 1-0 to Jay. They lost 5-1 to Harlan. They beat Taft 2-1, and then you mentioned Brennan. They lost 2-0 to Brennan on the 26th. So they are playing the tough teams up front as far as outside of Taft. In no disrespect to Taft by that, but you mentioned watch out for Brennan, Harlan, and Jay. Probably the top 3 teams that I think most of us feel pretty comfortable at that as we speak today, or would be playoff contenders. I'm also going to say watch out for Taft. Last night they got a goal less than 2 minutes left in the game to get that win over Stevens. Sometimes getting a late second goal like that can kind of help build and go through, because if Stevens got a draw, if Taft got a draw on that, being 0-2-2 is a lot different feel than being 1-2-1 and being right on the cusp of things. So being able to kind of steal points that maybe maybe you should have already took care of, but you didn't play up to your you thought you should have played better. Getting that result, I think, was maybe pivotal for Taft to stay in this race for that here. So.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to 29 for the girls. This one's a mess. When I went through, I was like, yeah, good luck picking out who's going to finish first here. Warren, 3-2 in district. Sotomayor, 2-0-2. Taft, 2-0-2. Brennan, 2-0-2. John Jay, 2-1-2. O'Connor, 1-1-2. Harlan, 1-3-1. And then you get down to Stevens and Holmes. Stevens Falcons, the Lady Falcons, 1-5. And Holmes, 0-3-1 for that here. So, I think you still favor Taft, right? As because they technically haven't lost, but they haven't ran away with it like we thought they would. Warren's proven strong because they've always been a strong program. Brennan, John Jay, getting that win over O'Connor, for the first time, may be extremely important for both clubs, whether they make the playoffs, especially for John Jay if they're able to eke out a couple of more wins.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with Taft, but like I said, remember they started off playing with some ties, but they also start off with Brandon and also with O'Connor. And lately, like I said, they've kind of gone a couple wins short. Coming up, like I said, they plan on playing the teams kind of below them, as far as from the record, and can they get it together? Because they started out hot, and now when they came to this and play, they had a couple little setbacks. I know they had a big win last night. They had a big win over Stevens. So we'll see how that. Like I said, they've gotten to two big wins, so they got knocked off Stevens and Warren. But like I said, they started the season with a 0-0 tie with Brennan, and then the 2-2 tie with O'Connor, and that's kind of how it was last year. If you remember, it was those three teams that were kind of cross-checking each other, and it came out to the last game. So I think Taft's in a good spot because, like I said, the only two challenging games they're going to have is probably going to be the Sotomayor and John Jay. So if they can get those wins, they'll get back into the.
Sotomayor is Saturday 2 p.m. kickoff at Gus. So that one will be an interesting match to find out for here. So, well, that's it for the standings for it here. Let's get into Rafa's Power 15. And of course, we start out with the ladies first. These are just missed. And John Jay, MacArthur, Brennan, Lee, Sotomayor, Coach Kano, I'm sorry. I was kind of shocked that you didn't keep your 15th slot from the preseason ranking. But Rafa just doesn't like you. And then, of course, I think we see the mess that is 6A29 with 3 just missed, between John Jay, Brennan, and Sotomayor. So it'll be kind of interesting to see out of those 3 which ones that kind of steps up. And then the interesting one that you have to me is also Lee out of the powerful 6A28, also kind of out of that district. So kind of your thoughts on if you want to highlight any of the just missed for that here.
Like I said, this is pound for pound, like I said, from 4A to 6A. We're not doing 3 separate ones. We want to highlight the best of the best. And like I said, for these 5 teams, like I said, they're having great seasons. They're on the cusp of getting back, striking distance and getting to the top 15. I know with MacArthur, they had a couple losses, but they've won those 4 straight games on district. They got a tough one, I know, next week coming up. Like I said, who's to say they don't get back into and go into the top 15? Brennan, what do you say about them? It seemed like they weren't, they lost some key players, lost one of their key their starting forward, and you thought maybe they would take a little step back, but no, they're right in there. Same thing with Sotomayor. I know another year under varsity play. I'm sure the ladies got some more experience now. Then, like I said, the record reflects there. So like I said, they have an opportunity to get in the top 15. Same thing with Jay. last year it looked promising. This year could this be the year they finally get into, like I said, get into the playoffs, and they got some work to do as far as if they can knock off some of the teams ahead of them. Like I said, they have a good it'll be looking good. And then Lee, what do you say about that district they're in? 28-6A is just a beast of a district, but like I said, you got 4 or 5 quality teams, and like I said, you're probably going to see in the rankings coming up.
So moving on to number 15, Cibolo Steel, 7-1-2, hasn't kicked off district. Quick thought on Cibolo.
Good season for them. Last year, I remember them. I went to one of their games. They were struggling, but this year looks like they seem to kind of got some things together. Like I said, they started district play, and we'll see if they can contend for that 27-6A title against also between versus Clemens and also New Braunfels.
Moving on to 14, the Como Canyon Lake Hawks, 9-1.
Yeah, what do you say about Canyon Lake? The ladies, great start. We're kind of waiting to see, are they going to kind of take that next step? Because they've always been a playoff team, but just maybe the 3rd or 4th. But it seems like they could be a threat for Boerne and Davenport this year.
James Madison, the Mavericks, at 13, 8-1-1, 4-1.
Great season so far for the Lady Mavs, and
I know
it's not rigged.
I got
season for the Lady Mavs. Good season for the Lady Mavericks. I know they had a tough loss yesterday, but like I said, what do you say about 28-6A? They're in the top 4 in that district, and like I said, they have a good squad this year, and they're going to do some great things there.
And Coach Cano just mentioned these with these 4 great programs. Wow, great day! And we'll take that all day. Number 12, JP2, the first TAPS school with 19 wins at number 12. You're being a little bit tough here, Rafa. Before that, here one more, and they're at the first team to 20, 3-1 in district. Only lost to Geneva of Boerne.
Yeah, well, that comes in the fact that loss to Geneva, and it was a pretty convincing win by Geneva. But hey, JP2 still, like I said, they're still a state finalist, and we'll see what they do once they go into that district tournament and also into the playoffs. And who's to say we don't see that? This could be part of a trilogy. Between those 2 teams.
Davenport was preseason number 4 at 11, 7-2 through here. Hasn't kicked off district yet. But your thoughts on the Lady Wolves?
Like I said, with the new coach, like I said, for them, I was going to say how do they respond to him. So far, they've got a good record going into district play. They were, I've seen them in some polls that have them ranked high in the for Region 4 for 4A. I know they had a loss recently to a real tough team. Like I said, it was in 6A, but keep an eye on them. Is this their year to knock off the Lady Greyhounds from Boerne? And it's going to be a great when they play each other. It's going to be a great matchup.
Shirts Clemens Buffaloes, 10-2. The Lady Buffaloes hasn't kicked off district as of yet out of 6A 27.
Yeah, the Lady Buffs, so they've been, like I said, playing with some real tough teams and great start. And we'll see if they can, keep that momentum and end up with that 27-6A title. Like I said, I've got to see them firsthand play a couple weeks ago against Harlan, and like I said, I was impressed. And I think they're going to do some good things here in district play.
Piper at number 9, 7-2-1, 3-0, was ranked 6 on the preseason here, so hanging strong. Your thoughts on the Lady Warriors?
Yeah, so far strong start for district play. Like I said, I know they had a couple losses, against some tough opponents, and like I said, just records do matter here as well. But they're still like I said, a quality team, and like I said, from what they did last year, you see if they can top that this year. Like I said, can they win 26-5A? The one team that got in the way with them was last year was Simpson Valley. Can they get over that? It's just their year, so I'm looking forward to when they play against each other.
Taps, non-ranked, number 8. Geneva School of Boerne, 14-0-1, 6-0 in district. I know we talked quite a bit about their matchup with JP2 earlier. Kind of be sitting, so I'll be interested to see what Rafa does with these rankings because they don't really play until I want to think mid-February. So there's probably a week or two where they're gonna stay status quo. So it'll be interesting to see how they fluctuate. But your thought on Geneva, on the Eagles?
A great season for the ladies. Like I said, they finally got that win over JP2. And when you knock off a state finalist and also a team that's won state 2 as well, it's a good notch on your feather and cap on for your program. So can they win? Like I said, their district tournament coming up. I'm sure they're going to probably face each other more likely in the final. And then who's to say they don't meet again in the state tournament? So good luck to the Lady Eagles coming up and once again to the conference, that district tournament, and also the state tournament.
Moving to number 7, the Taft Lady Red Raiders, 6-0-3, 2-0-2 in district.
Yeah, Taft, like I said, I had them ranked high. Those 2 draws against 2 quality teams, like I said, Brennan and O'Connor. Like I said, it dropped a little bit, but I still think they're going to be the fair for 29-6A. And I know from pre-district, some of the teams, they beat some quality teams. So, and I was kind of thinking, okay, they should take care of business here, but they a little faltered here with those 2 ties. But I think they'll bounce back from that. They'll get it going, and like I said, they should win this district.
Johnson, the preseason ranked 2nd, 9-1, 4-0. 2nd to 6th, kind of a big drop. Not really, but kind of your thoughts with just the 1 loss.
Yeah, like I said, that's just the teams. Like I said, in within the top 6. It's very competitive. Like I said, we're going for pound, but like I said, I want to be surprised. Like I said, if Johnson can knock off Reagan this Friday, I want to be surprised they make that jump up and get into the ranked higher.
Canyon Cougarettes, Como Canyon 8-1-1, 3-0, preseason 7-5. So eked up a little bit here. So a good showing early season for the Cougarettes.
Yeah, like I said, they're keeping the same momentum what they did last year, and like I said, that 26-5A, it's going to be, like I mentioned, is going to be a dogfight between them, Simpson Valley, and also Piper, and so I'm gearing to see how this when they start playing against each other, how that turns out.
Smithson Valley, your number 1 team, 8-3, 3-0, 3 losses. Some might argue should they have dropped a little bit further with 3 losses. So what does Rafa say about his number 1 team coming in at 4th?
Yeah, like I said, they did drop, but like I said, those 3 losses were against state caliber teams, and then like I said, yeah, so it's and also not like also for some of the teams below them like Kamal and Johnson. But like I said, Simpson Valley has played a really tough non-district schedule. But like I said, they played some of these teams that made it in the state tournament. But they like I said, I know they've lost some key players, but hey, they're going strong. And like I said, they're that 26-5A. What can you say? Like I said, they're going to get. They're in the battle, like I said, between them between Kamal and Piper. So those are going to be some games to be look forward to see.
So number 3, the bronze medal in the Rafa's Power 15 for this week. Boerne Greyhounds. The Lady Greyhounds 10-0-1, hasn't started district. Always top 5 in the Rafa's power rankings so far.
Hounds, like I said, last year they made it to the state semifinals. Like I said, they're your defending region for 4A. I think, like I said, they were the one team that almost, kept hung around against the lineup for about a half, and then just kind of, couldn't, like I said, Salina was find a way to, kind of put it away. But I think they're the Great Lady Greyhounds. Like I said, they're on the collision course with Davenport, and it was say who is to say we don't see them again in that regional final like we did last year. But also, like I said, I'm giving the edge here on Boerne because they've had a great season. I think they're going to be the favorites here for Region 4 for 4A.
Silver medal goes to the Alamo Heights Lady Mules, 10-0-1, 4-0 in district. To me, I would have put Coach Cano's team here. I'm just saying, trying to score some points. Coach Cano on the 50-50 podcast here, but no, just joking. Alamo Heights, like I said here, preseason at 11, moved up to 2. What can you say that they're a machine? I hate saying it, but they're a machine.
Yeah.
Just year in and year out, quality program.
Yeah, they like I said, they're kind of one of the status quos here when it comes to girls soccer here in San Antonio. Because they're one of the premier programs, and like I said, you got the other ones like I mentioned, like Johnson, Swenson Valley, Reagan, and like I said, now you have like teams like Taft. So, but they've been consistent. Like I said, they are the favorites for 27-5A. What I'm hoping to see from Alamo Heights, can they go deep in the playoffs? And can they get to the regional tournament and also punch their ticket to state? It's been a while for them. Last year, like I said, you had Swenson Valley go. Can they be the team? To knock off one of those 26A, the 26-5A teams. Whether it's Piper, Comal, Canyon, and Swenson Valley, or even Boerne Champion. We'll see. So it's a high, bar set high here for the Lady Mules.
And then the gold medal 10-0, 4-0. Toughest division, most likely in the San Antonio area for the ladies. That could be debated. The Lady Rattlers out of Reagan. What moved them up from 10 to the top spot from preseason to halfway or a quarter of the way in through the season? You'd say estimate at this point. I don't think we're quite at halfway, but we're closing in on that.
Yeah, they've been on a roll, and like I said, they got some great wins. They got a tough test on Friday. They're at Comalander, and between them and Johnson, and it could have been like some that Reagan 1, Johnson 2. Like I said, we'll see. You never know. Johnson could end up taking over number 1. So, but Reagan, like I said, kudos to them. I know, like I said, I know they lost some key players from last year, but they've really kind of got it together. And they're right now they seem to be the team to beat in 28-6A. Like I said, I've seen Johnson play, great team, but like I said, you're looking here, Reagan's really like I said, turn it up, and so I'm looking forward to see what the results for Friday's game. It's going to be a real barn burner. So if you have a chance, like I said, please check out that game because it's probably, like I said, it's probably the top game for 6A. It's got to be your top game of the week.
San Antonio area. So that's it for the ladies here. Next up will be the Rafa's 2024 Power 15 for the boys. If you can, please like and subscribe on YouTube. If you do listen on the podcast version, if you could please give us a rating, whether it's on iTunes or Spotify. I think I'm going to try to see if we can give away either a scarf or maybe San Antonio FC tickets at some point. If we could start getting some more likes on there here, so to try to help improve the algorithm.
We can give away some of Matt's Dynamo tickets.
Nobody wants those. I went with the best team, San Antonio, not Team Broccoli or the Team Orange or the team in South Oklahoma. Just missed John Jay, Warren, Kerrville, Tivy, Harlingen, and Steel Knights. For that here, John Jay 9-1-1, 4-1, Warren 10-2, 3-2, Kerrville, Tivy 8-3-1, 2-0-1. Harlingen 11-3, 1-0 in district, and the Knights at 6-1-1. Some impressive records that I will say that are not in the Power 15 for that here. So it'll be interesting. All newcomers for that here, just to be fair. So they got to earn their stripes, and of course district play coming in. If you notice, most of them do have a couple of losses in district. Like Warren, I think they would have been in if they wouldn't have had the week they had last week, unfortunately, where they suffered a couple of losses in district play.
Yeah, like for example, like Steele, I think I would have had him in the top 15 had they not lost against Del Rio. Then they would have been started at 7.
I'm surprised you have them on here.
Yeah, no, but I mean that's a good start for them at 6-1-1. So it's still a great start for them. What can you say about Kerrville Tivy? First time here in the top, kind of the honorable mention here. Tough test coming up. Can they beat Boerne Champion? If they can get a win, we'll be surprised if they get into the top 15. Harlandale, like I said, Tivy could be the surprise this year. Harlandale, like I said, I know last year they had that 15-0 start, and look what happened there. They got a little reality check, but still, like I said, another good start for them. But can they build upon that? Can they win? Like I said, the key is, can they challenge like Southwest? Challenge Medina Valley. We'll see in these coming weeks. Warren, like I said, they started out great, but they have those two district losses. Can they bounce back? I still think they have enough to make the playoffs. And then John Jay, like I said, still working. Great start. Not maybe as far as like the non-district compared to maybe some of the other teams, but still, they're still a good team. Keep an eye on them, and maybe from this, they can enter the top 15 in the next coming weeks.
So number 15, the Lee Volunteers. I know we kind of talked about them being young, 8-4, 3-2 in district. Was ranked 5th in the preseason poll, so hanging on by a sliver. For it here, I think pedigree probably puts them in, instead of being on the just missed personally for me. But your thoughts on the Volunteers?
They still had some quality wins in non-district play. They beat some teams like Dripping Springs, and they're at the one they went to Austin Lake Showcase. But they had a couple setbacks against Brandeis and also against Reagan, so that's why, like I said, they have them down here. But don't sleep on them. They're a young team. Coach Rogers, like I say, he's going to get them ready. He always gets them ready to play. Hopefully, maybe they learn from these games that they lost. And who's to say once they get into that second round, they don't the two losses against Brandeis and Reagan, they don't turn around and end up getting wins. So still got the talent. Still, like I said, and I still think, like I said, they're gonna cause some trouble there in District 28-6A.
Medina Valley. This week will probably be a huge test where maybe you'll to move up a little bit, depending on results. 11-0-3, 1-0 in district, but as we discussed, huge matchup on Friday. Your thoughts on the Panthers?
Yeah, Medina Valley's, like I said, great start for them. Like I said, good win last night. I think they could have scored some more goals last night. They had some great opportunities. But here's the big test. The test is this Friday against Southwest. Can they take that next step? Can they beat one of the elite teams here in our area and also in the region too? They if they can do that, sky's the limit for this team. Like I said, they are very talented up front. They get good midfielder, good defense, goalkeeping. A good goalkeeper, but he could be challenged there too. So it's going to be interesting when this Friday when they play Southwest.
13, the Canyon Cougars 7-3, 2-1 in district. Your thought on the Cougars? Um, Goalkeeper factory for high schools, it sounds like.
It sounds like it because, like I said, they lost a big one last year when Nico graduated. But hey, they haven't missed a beat. They had a good win, recently, and some good wins on non-district play. Like I said, 26-5 very tough district for here for Region 4. Like I said, they're gonna probably cause some headaches with some teams. They cannot take them lightly, and like I said, they're going to be in the mix. When it comes into the playoffs.
Brennan at number 12, 8-0-2, and I think they're 2-0-2, not 3-0-2 in district. I think I had a typo on that. 2-0-2, giving them an extra win, for that here to pad the stats. But for Brennan here, solid program. I know we talked about them earlier for that here.
Yeah, they're kind of the surprise, and like I said, the buzz around, and they got a tie against Harlan, so that's a good result for them. When they play again, can they take that next step and knock them off? And it's been a while since anyone's knocked off Harlan. From the district title. Is this Brennan's year to do it? So good start for them. Like I said, we'll see what they do the rest of the way.
Number 11, Brandeis, 4-3-2, 3-1-1 in district for the Broncos.
So yeah, Brandeis, like I said, did play a tough non-district schedule. I know they were missing some key players. They had a good comeback win. They were down 3-1 against Churchill, able to knock them out 4-3. They had a tough loss against Johnson, 1-0. I know they're, like I said, still a dangerous team. They got some. I think they got their players back. We'll see how the team responds from that, and can they, get back into the mix as far as with the district title race.
Number 12, Boerne Champion, 6-1-1 and 1-1 in district. I know we kind of talked about them on the standings portion here, and I believe, if memory serves me right, they have a huge match coming up this weekend for that here. But thoughts on the Chargers?
Yeah, the Chargers, good start of the season, even though they have that one loss, that district loss recently. Can they bounce back? We'll see. They had a tough one against Kerrville coming up. That's kind of the Kerrville. Kerrville's, I know, probably going to be gunning for them. They know, they understand that because this is a well-established team that's won a state title in the past. But Boerne needs, like I said, has to get this win to kind of stay pace with with Piper and also with Canyon, for that district title race, and Smithson Valley.
Johnson Jaguars at number 9 was number 3 in the preseason ranking, 6-4-1, 3-0-1. Thoughts on the Jaguars? It seems like a little bit of disappointment, and I know they had played a tough schedule. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
a little bit of disappointment from being ranked 3rd at the start of preseason to 9 now.
Yeah, like I said, they lost some games, but like I said, it is against quality teams. But they've, like I said, they've won 3 in a row. Like I said, they got 3 straight clean sheets. I know they had a tie, like a tie in the beginning, but like I said, they got a big game coming up this Friday. And can they get a win against Reagan? If they can get a win, like I said, they'll propel them to get in the lead for the district title. Like I said, it's going to be a barn burner of a game on Friday at 7 p.m. there. So, like I mentioned, you got a chance to check it out. But like I said, Johnson's going to be, is going to be in the mix here.
Harlan, the Lady Hawks, 6-3-2, 4-0 in district. Or pardon me, this is boys, so not the Lady Hawks, regular Hawks here. 4-0 from there. I know we talked about them in the playoffs here in the standings here, off to a solid year so far here. I think Rafa will be back in a minute or two for that here, but I do know we got to get going here. 7, Lavernia, 10-3-1. Hasn't kicked off district as of yet. I know in District 27, he's got them as the favorite for that here. And then number 6 would be Southwest. They got the huge matchup coming up against Medina Valley at last preseason number 1. 6-2-1, 1-0. I know with the discussions with Rafa that the quality, they've stepped up the quality, so that's why they have the 2 losses in the draw to be able to compete for the playoffs. So when it comes to that, and then for number 5, Reagan High School, 6-3-1, 4-0, preseason 11, 5 here for that here. Number 4, Piper, 9-3-0, 3-0 in district. I know this is talking with Rafa pre him. This is one of his favorites in the San Antonio area for that here. So I didn't know how long you were going to be, Rafa. So wanted to. I know I got to get going pretty soon here, so I was going through here. So I went through just kind of catch up. Harlan, which is where we lost you. Lavernia, Southwest, and then Reagan, and then we were on Piper. Anything that you want to comment on these the teams that we went?
Yeah, like I said, Southwest got a big game coming up with Medina Valley. Like I say, are they going to reign supreme there for their district again, or is there going to be a new contender there for the title? Harlan, like I said, if you look at Harlan, Lavernia, we'll go back real quick with Lavernia, good start to the non-district season. Also they had a big win last night on district play, knocking off Fox Tech. Is this year, like I said, they do get the district title. Like I said, there were challenges last year, but like I said, Memorial ended up winning it, so we'll see how they do this year. 6, like I said, 5, you got Reagan. Reagan's really surged there. They're making their case there. Big game, like I said, big game on Friday against Johnson. Can they maintain the district lead? Then I have.
Or was Piper
did I miss
one of your favorites?
Yeah, Harlan Piper. Did I miss Harlan? Yeah, Harlan. Yeah. So Harlan, like I said, well, they have, that one tie against Brennan, but will they be challenged here in this upcoming round, in this first round of the district play? And then the number 4, Piper, great start for them. Is this their year to finally get that district title? I know they were close last year. Like I said, they got some key games coming up in these coming weeks.
Number 3, Alamo Heights, the Mules, 11-1, 5-0 in district.
Yeah, the Alamo Heights, like I said, been consistent. Like I said, just one loss in there. Like you mentioned, they have a game coming up against MacArthur. We'll see how that one goes. Can MacArthur knock them off? But I still think, like I said, Alamo Heights has enough to win that game.
And then 2, Central Catholic, 12-2, 5-0, was 7th preseason, up to 2nd at this point.
Yeah, so Central Catholic, like I said, they've really surged here this season. Real good. Like I said, they're on a mission from the disappointment from last year. Like I said, I think they could be the favorite to win their TAPS the state title again. We'll see how they do this. I have a big game coming up with Antonian. So we'll see if they can win those games and pretty much wrap up the TAPS district title and go into the playoffs.
And then number 1, Boerne. I don't think anybody's surprised. I know it was 6th preseason, 7-0. Just like with the ladies. What can you say? On the boys' side, just as dominant as the ladies on their side here. So, thoughts on the Greyhounds and the mission that they're on?
Yeah, Coach Strong's got them playing great, and just from the disappointment from last year, I think they're very motivated, and I know me and Coach Steve got to see them play recently. There, like I said, I got to see them we saw them at the Alamo Heights tournament. I mean, they beat a really good Waxahachie team. So, they're, like I said, they're playing teams, division, 2 divisions higher, and beating them. So, they're, like I said, they're on a mission to reclaim that state title, which I think they really think it really belongs to them. And we'll see how the rest of the district goes here in 26-4A.
So, final thoughts. I know we got to figure out how to shorten this here an hour and a half. But final thoughts for here, like I said here, really really enjoy the power rankings and then the standings here for that here. So I know you've got other things kind of going on, Rafa, for here. So I don't want to keep you any longer than we have to for that here. But your final thoughts on the evening.
Yeah, like I said, it's interesting. Like I said, how we went from the when we did the initial 15, the preseason till now. Some of the teams that we had, kind of, some of the records don't reflect as far as the level of player what they're doing, because a lot of them did play, probably some of the toughest schedules in the state. I mean, you look at teams like Reagan, and you look at teams that like Harlan and Lee Johnson and Sam Southwest. They're playing those state caliber teams because they know they're going to see those teams in the playoffs, and also if they do get to the state tournament, they'll see them there. So some records don't reflect on that, but like I said, they're playing great right now. When it comes, like I said, when it does count the district play, and so we'll see. We got some key games this weekend, so you have a chance. Make sure you can go. And then also, final thought tomorrow, the interesting the biannual realignment. That's we'll see what the landscape is going to be as far as the districts for the next 2 years. We'll get an idea how it's going to be and how things are going to shape up for the next 2 years.
And we may put together a show either Friday or Thursday or Friday, depending on the information that comes out. My final thought is, if you can, please whether it's Facebook, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, YouTube. If you can subscribe onto YouTube, if you can please leave a ratings, if it's iTunes, Spotify, or wherever that you listen. It really helps the program out. It helps get it out to more people that may have similar interest. I know Sunday we're going to be doing a SAFC show. The fan cast, there is not necessarily player. Well, there is player movement. They're playing on the moving on the pitch. Wouldn't shock me if maybe there's another signing this week here, because they're still a little bit thin in the roster. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. But the boys are back in town, as I put it here, for that here. I do know that we are going to be trying to give away possibly some tickets to the preseason match on the 24th. We got to figure out the final details of that. I think I think we may have 2 sets of 2 that we may be able to do for that here, where we may be able to tie in one with if you can show proof where you've liked if you subscribed onto the YouTube channel and gave a rating. For that here, we may enter into a drawing on that, but we got to finalize that here. But please do, please support local shows, whether it's SA Soccer, Roundtable, SAFC Fancast, a couple of our friend shows, Pro SAFC or the 50/50 podcast goes a long way and kind of helps supporting the local soccer scene here in San Antonio. Hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And what's life without goals? We're out.